So, Wi-Fi, huh? It's the logo that puts a smile on a frowning face if you're outdoors because all you want in your life is free internet. It is also the thing of nightmares for those people who own it because there's always that one spot in your house where you just want to sit and work, and then you realize that there's absolutely no Wi-Fi coverage in that spot. Whatever the reason might be, Wi-Fi is one of those technologies that have actually managed to bring people closer, and that's exactly why we are going to talk about it in this fourth episode of Elemental, where we talk about the smaller things in tech that make a much bigger impact on the real world. Catch us every Sunday at 1 p.m. and if you're particularly excited, just like me, you might want to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so that you know exactly when we put out our latest videos. Now this may come as a surprise for you, but Wi-Fi actually has a lot to do with outer space, specifically black holes. In 1977, John O'Sullivan, an Australian electrical engineer, and his team were trying to detect radio signals from distant exploding black holes. These signals were extremely faint and were susceptible to getting lost out due to noise. To group these faint signals and turn them into something meaningful, Sullivan and his team came up with some complex equations. But they didn't find any black holes. Now, a decade and a half later, O'Sullivan and his team took a crack at wireless networking and used those same equations to unsmear data over a wireless radio signal and form the basis for fast Wi-Fi. Cool story, bro, but how exactly does it work? In simplest terms, Wi-Fi is essentially a wireless counterpart of the wired Ethernet protocol. Wi-Fi signals are electromagnetic signals, so they don't even need air to propagate. The radios used for Wi-Fi communication are very similar to the radios used for walkie-talkies, cell phones, and other devices. In fact, they can transmit and receive radio waves and can convert ones and zeros into radio waves and the vice versa. Wi-Fi operates in higher frequencies in the gigahertz range at 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Yeah, the 5G that you see on your Wi-Fi stands for 5 gigahertz and not 5th generation cellular networks or 5G, which is a totally different thing. Now, operating at a higher frequency gives Wi-Fi benefits like high bandwidth, or basically the ability to transfer more data, and also issues like more susceptibility to interference because a lot of home appliances, especially microwave ovens, operate at that frequency. Now, if you have a Wi-Fi connection at home, you may have come across terms like modem and router. A lot of times they are part of the same package in a single device, a lot of times they aren't. The modem is used by your internet service provider or ISP to feed your house with an internet connection, and the router routes wired or wireless internet from the modem to all your devices and between these devices. Now, there are times when an ISP provides a DSL or a fiber modem, which is why sometimes you will see two connected boxes, and sometimes these might be combined into one physical box. You may have also come across terminology like 802.11 and IEEE. It's time to touch upon that as well. 802 is a family of standards dealing with local area networks issued by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which sets global standards to make things work with each other across the world. There are several groups within the family, and they're denoted by adding a dot and a number after 802. For instance, Ethernet is denoted as 802.3, WLAN or Wi-Fi as 802.11, and so on and so forth. And the stuff that comes after 802.11 tells you on what frequency and the speed the network is operating on and how new the standard is. The latest Wi-Fi 6 standard is also called the 802.11ax, while the Wi-Fi 5 standard is called 802.11ac, and the older Wi-Fi 4 standard is called 802.11n. An interesting thing to note here is that Wi-Fi 126 naming scheme is retrospective and is now used to simplify the standards that you might have heard of before, like 802.11n and 802.11g. In order for a standard to work, it has to be present on both an access point on your router and a client device or your smartphone or laptop. Wi-Fi 6 is fairly new and the devices supporting it are notoriously expensive, but it offers theoretical data rates of up to 11 Gbps. You should be fairly alright with Wi-Fi 5 devices as they have a theoretical throughput of 1 gigabits per second, and your data plan speed limit might likely fall in this range. Now let's talk about routers. They come in different shapes, sizes and prices, but you should know what you want to do with it, because a lot of times your ISP might want to stick a router in your face saying, hey, why don't you give us like a couple of $100 every month? Because that might be slightly cheaper than buying a router on your own. What I'm going to say now might make you realize whether or not you have made a mistake. If you're the only one living in a small flat doing nothing but streaming videos on your phone and just minimal data consumption, sure, the Wi-Fi router given by your ISP should be sufficient. But if you're going to consume a lot of high-speed internet by gaming, watching videos, and downloading a lot of stuff by using multiple devices, you're going to need a better router which may be marginally costlier but significantly better. You would have also noticed that some Wi-Fi routers come with 2, 3 or even more antennas. Let me give you a quick TLDR without getting into the specifics of it. More antennas mean better reception, better transmission, and also better throughput. But it doesn't always work that way, and you shouldn't think of having more antennas justifying a higher asking price of a Wi-Fi router. Now let's come to that one thing that really matters at the end of the day. Wi-Fi room mein mil raha hai ya nahi? So look, there might be several reasons why your Wi-Fi signals might not be reaching your bedroom, but the most common one is how people think of placing routers in their houses. Firstly, you have to figure out which places in your house get the worst Wi-Fi network. Just make a rough map of your house and perform a simple speed test in every room. If you think you would be spending a lot of time in a room and you're observing a 50 to 60% dip in speed, something is off. Once you get that sorted, check how you have set your antennas. Try not to keep your antennas pointing straight up, instead keep them at an angle. The recommended angle is from 45 degrees to 60 degrees between antennas. Finally, figure out where you have to keep your Wi-Fi router to keep your house brimming with Wi-Fi signals. This is often the most difficult thing to do because it is affected by a lot of factors. Oftentimes, you will run out of the cable that is provided by your ISP, or you won't find a power source, or you won't find a way to hang your Wi-Fi router. If you're facing these issues, the only thing I can ask you to do is contact your ISP because they are the best equipped to deal with this kind of an issue. Also, if you're building or renovating your house, you should definitely include how and where you are going to place your Wi-Fi hotspot in your house in your plans. Anyway, remember I asked you to make a rough plan of your house. It's time to pull that out because we are going to find a place that is almost in the center of your house and place your Wi-Fi router somewhere over there. If you cannot do that, try keeping it in a place that is still in your living or dining room but closer to your bedroom. Another important tip is to fix your Wi-Fi at a height, preferably on the ceiling. Why high up? Fewer obstructions, that's why. Finally, try to avoid thick walls like concrete or microwave oven in the direct line of sight of your router because these may dampen your signals. You can also try extending the range of your home Wi-Fi network by installing mesh routers and Wi-Fi range extenders. Mesh routers basically set up hubs in multiple parts of your house and they act as a part of the same Wi-Fi network. So it's a seamless way of bridging a large multi-story house. If you don't want to make that kind of an investment, or if you have a smaller flat, you can look at a range extender, which can easily plug inside wall sockets and eliminate Wi-Fi dead spots. And that brings us to a close to this episode of Elemental. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments below. Remember, new Elemental videos come out every Sunday at 1 p.m. And for all things tech, log on to guys360.com.